Hello and welcome to the Enchantress Society podcast with me, Tia Johnson. Put your muggle life on pause and travel with me to a place of magic, empowerment, and wonder as I interview prominent guests in the spiritual world and spill the enchanted tea on all of the ways you can conspire to craft the magical life you deserve. Always and forever, the Enchantress Society podcast is your virtual coven where I am rooting for you to succeed every step of the way. Hello and welcome to another amazing episode. I have a very special guest here, a former client who also was part of the Goddess Mastery Mastermind. We have Kim Quinones. Kim is an intuitive guide and energy healer who helps people find and heal their stuck places and open up to their intuitive gifts. She brings in her experiences as a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and claircognizant, a medium and a channel to all her offerings. Kim's goal is to help you feel grounded in present time awareness, clear chords, and outdated contracts, clear of outside energy, and empowered to take steps to living the life of your dreams. The tools Kim uses are multidimensional and include intuitive tarot, reading your aura, as well as chakras and energy bodies to attune with your spiritual self and help open you back up to your intuition. While Kim does not predict the future, she can look at the possible outcomes and see what you are aligned with. She can also see what you are holding in your intuitive space, energetic space, and get insights from it and help you to release it. She has the ability to share messages from past over loved ones and from your higher self to help support you. Kim has over a decade of experience and is based in San Francisco, California. You can visit Kim at Reveal Your Inner Light. And we were talking beforehand. Whenever I see her website, I think of also revel, like to revel in the light, bask in it. So Kim, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here. And I remember when we first met, one of the first things I said was, I love your hair. Red is my favorite color. I love curls. I love all the ba ba boom. There you go. I love it. So I love your energy. And we have that dragon energy too that we share. So I had so much fun working with you, and just to see the changes that happen throughout your time working with me.
Yeah, I had a great experience. I feel so lucky to have spent, this was last year, but the time in the summer and then all throughout the fall, just in your vibes, in your magical vibes. I loved getting to connect and just learn from you. It was a wonderful experience.
Thank you. And it was a vibe. I loved our live calls.
They were so fun. It was a great group.
They were always so much fun. So talk a little bit about how was life beforehand, and even if you want to talk a little bit about your business beforehand, and leading up to working with me in the Dark Feminine mentorship over the summer.
Yeah, I think that what was going on with me, I've been doing intuitive readings for a decade, and there is in the spiritual realms, we can kind of get caught up in always being in the love and the light, and always being in these high vibes, and at the time that I was leading up to when I discovered your program and decided to work with you, I was like, I need to be looking in the shadow, and I need to be working in the shadow, and I need to not be afraid of that, because I think that's the thing, is that we're all a little afraid of what's in the shadow. It's going to take me over, or it's going to destroy me or consume me. And so I was kind of like tiptoeing my way into working with it and feeling comfortable with it. And I was not very familiar with Hecate But in my own spiritual practice, I call in a lot of the divine feminine energies. And I was calling her in, not really knowing who she was. And then literally your program, like, of course, found me. It's just like, what's this dark femme mentorship? I clearly need to be doing this. So it was like one of those divine timing moments, like the thing that I was working on and calling out for, you appeared as a guide right in that moment. So it was this perfect timing of just having someone to hold my hand to kind of step into this and start working in a new way, start looking at things in a different way, and without fear, right? Or being able to just step aside from the fear and do it anyway, really is
Right.
how it always works with fear, right?
Yeah.
Feel
Oh,
the fear,
yeah.
do it anyway, I think is the saying.
Absolutely. And I love that you talked about the fear aspect, because that is something that we really have to think about, especially when we're diving into ourselves, because we hear so many times shadow, dark, it's scary, but really it's just who we are. And it's a combination of parts unknown, parts that we put off to the side. And so, to give yourself that permission just to say, you know what, I get that it's not all love and light. And even working with Hecate, I just imagine Hecate's like, hey, I got someone for you.
Right? Check it out.
Like little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And that's really cool, because it does take a lot to say, you know what, I need to go down this road. I need to go down this journey and really explore that and see where that will lead me, because we don't know, right? Things come up and we may think that we heal from it, or it's just something completely that we just haven't uncovered. And that mystery can be scary, overwhelming. I'd rather deal with it another day, but there's no time like the present, especially when someone comes along. So I'm really happy that you were able to, say yes to yourself and address that.
Yeah. And then there's also that piece that, the truth is I mean, it's not always, but a lot of the times it's not as scary as we imagine it's going to be. It's not as scary as we think, right? And so it was great to have you as a handhold and a guide. It's like we make up these stories in our head, like that there's just like beasts that are going to eat us alive, right? When we go looking in the shadow, it's like, oh, it's like, here's a little dragon that I could befriend.
Right. Really.
All these other things
Exactly.
that are much more showing up as allies than anything else. But
Yeah,
we're
that's so true. Showing up
programmed.
as an ally sort of reminds me of Pan's Labyrinth, I believe is the movie with the little girl, and that tree figure comes out and he looks scary. It's like, whoa, but really he's there to help her remember who she is, and she has to go through the three not exercises, but what do you call those things? Trials. And it's so interesting because, yeah, you're right. It's like that was actually her friend, but he looked scary.
Yeah, right.
So
And it's
yeah.
like, and there's also that, just as you speak about that, like it's this reminder again to not just go on appearances, right? And that's a very practical thing in our everyday life, because we can be so judgmental and so close down to things just by how they show up. And it's,
Right.
again, we never know what's an ally, and we're pushing something away just because we don't like its appearance,
Right.
right? There may be some wonderful people that we've rejected that, it's our loss, right?
Right. Yeah, no, that is so true. The way someone may talk or, dress. I mean, we might think, oh, they don't have a message for us, or, I don't know. It also reminds me of a conversation I had years ago with a friend. We were talking about the English language and just how it changed over time. And he said if Shakespeare was around, he would probably call us, low lives, because who are we? Because we don't say pantalon, we say pants, right?
Right.
We have this kind of, how can we say words in the least amount of way possible? And then you have your local slang and things like that. So it's very interesting to look at it that way when you think about, yes, sometimes it may be a little bit off-putting, but keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know what kind of like intellect or information is behind that you're kind of brushing off.
Right, for sure, for sure. And so you talked about the love and light beforehand, and then diving into that dark feminine energy. So so after that process of that, really embracing that dark feminine energy, diving more into Hecate, what were some of the changes that you saw going forward?
It I ended up going on this whole journey of ancestral healing that
Mm, mm,
I was not expecting and not even trying to do. And I have a friend who's also a healer who I do a trade with. And, she and I were in conversation one day and she's like, yeah, I was doing some healing energy and I found all of this trapped ancestral energy on my father's lineage. And I
ooh,
was like, ooh, well, I better go take a look at my
mhm,
own lineage and see what's going on. And when I dropped into that meditative state to go, and take a look for myself, it was Hecate who came forward and led me on this journey. And actually, I've got a new program that I'm offering that is with Hecate. And I would have never had her as my guide, because she, for anyone who's listening, if they're not familiar with her yet, she's known as the goddess of witchcraft and magic. She's a Greek goddess of witchcraft and magic, but she's also the goddess at the crossroads. She
mhm,
crosses the underworld. She's, we know the story of the abduction and rape of Persephone and getting dragged down by Hades.
mhm,
Hecate was who stayed with her in the underworld for the dark half of the year before she returned to her mother with
yeah,
Demeter in the light half of the year, right? And she's also that kind of like triple goddess energy, the maiden and the mother and the crone.
mhm,
And so she's an ally on so many levels, but she kind of gets relegated to this other position because she's the goddess of witchcraft and magic and
right,
we're all just witches, so it's
right,
like
right.
she has such a richer presence when you connect with her. And I was as surprised as anyone that she turned up to be the guide and we went on this journey to the
Yes.
underworld and she helped me, heal some of my ancestral energy that was stuck on the earth plane. So
Man.
I've been on a whole magical journey with her since I worked with you. And so again, my thanks to you, because that she opened up a whole, you and her helped open up a whole new body of work that I wasn't even considering offering to
Mm,
my community.
that's powerful. That is so powerful. Wow, ancestral healing and beyond. And it's so interesting because so many people can trace back to maybe their great grandparents. Maybe they can connect with their grandparents or their grandparents' sibling. So to be able to do that and unlock those aspects of yourself is just truly a beautiful thing. It allows you to know more about yourself. Oh my God, I am so sorry. It's like I put no, I turn my phone off, and for some reason, some calls still go through. But yeah, so that's just such a beautiful thing because to know more about who you are, where you come from, to have that sense of connection. I'm just getting a picture of tree roots just getting stronger, and the more you can understand where you come from, who you are, and have that connection, who can tell you otherwise? Who can tell you who you are, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to look like, and all these other things? No, no, no. I know who I am. I've done the work. So, you can go all the way over there.
Yeah. And when you do the math, like it's crazy how many ancestors we have, like the number, it's exponential, right? Like, so if
Hmm.
you've got two grandparents and four great grandparents and 16 great grandparents, right? You start going a few generations back. I
Right.
think 8 generations back, you're up to 1,000. If you
Yeah.
go back 20 generations, you're up to 1 million ancestors.
Yeah.
And then the number goes like to numbers I haven't even heard. Quadrillion is,
Right. Right.
there you have more ancestors than are people on the planet. How's that for a crazy statistic right there? you
Yeah.
know and
Yeah.
like yeah, to be able to connect with all of that. And one of the things that opened up in all of this, my mom follows what I do. She called me up on Sunday and we had a little chat, and it turns out she met one of my paternal great grandmothers. I heard about this for the very first time. You were just
Whoa.
saying how we don't know the names. And she gave
Right.
me the name of one of my paternal great grandmothers, Montserrat.
Wow.
Montserrat Quinones. I'm like, I love her.
Whoa.
And I'm this many days old and I'm only hearing about her for the first time, right? So it's like, again, that work just like opened up this whole other thing. And now I have this
Yeah.
person with a name that I can connect with. And just like, I love even just like saying her name and now feeling her energy and being able to call her in by name. And
Mm-hmm.
I had felt so disconnected from my father's lineage. He passed away when I was a young girl, and we didn't keep in touch with my grandparents. Those grandparents, they didn't I didn't have any, he didn't have a sibling. She passed away before I was born. Like, it was just kind of a dead end all of a sudden for me
Mm-hmm.
on my paternal side. And now I have this name of this great grandmother. And I'm just like, oh, I feel
It's
so honored
amazing.
and blessed to even just know it.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
thank you. Because this, again, working with you last summer, connecting with Hecate,
That
opened
is
up
just
all of these
so
roads.
beautiful.
It was so sweet to learn that. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't like, I need to look in the shadow and see what's going on for me.
Yeah.
So it's like that ripple effect out of like when we take those tiny steps forward,
Mm-hmm.
they're so amazing, right? So when we can get out of our fear and step forward and, face the fear and do it anyway, you never
Right.
know what it unlocks.
And how freeing is that to know that? It's just, I can't even put it into words, because to know that is just, I feel like you're putting even more. So we're all whole, but it's just like you're putting more of yourself together, and it just feels so beautiful, because it does involve a lot of work, and that's like a reward. It's part of mystery. Some things, okay, I know I'm going to dive a little bit into this shadow, or I'm going to the underworld, the deep parts of me, but I had no idea this was going to happen. This is almost like a bonus of sorts.
Yeah. This expansiveness that came with it, you know, kind of on the back end is amazing, you know.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
unexpected. And so just, I was so touched, and she gave me even, I was hearing stories about, my grandparents' brothers and sisters, like all these, great aunts and uncles that I had never heard a single thing about. And so
That's
it's just
awesome.
it was just such a lovely conversation we had over the weekend. And that just happened this weekend. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Hello, Tia Johnson here from the Enchantress Society. And I have a question for you. Have you thought about visualize creating your very own podcast, getting your message, your skills, your voice out there to the world? Well, I'm solution based. So I have a solution, a remedy to make your idea a reality of creating your very own podcast. I've created a user friendly program to help you create your podcast in a day. And that's the exact name of the program, How to Create Your Podcast in a Day. This program provides tools and strategies for content, concepts, and creating an environment for podcasting. I also help you to alleviate that feeling of overwhelm, confidence concerns when it comes to podcasting, from interviewing people to just wanting to bring forth valuable content. Having podcasting for a decade now, I know what it's like to want to do a bunch of research and want to bring to the people the best possible shows. So I want to cut down that learning curve for you by providing this information to you. So you can learn more about how to create your podcast in a day. Again, a very simple program to get you started, to knock out the questions of how do I formulate questions for interviews? What themes should I pick for my podcast? How should I name my podcast? What's the branding and vibe of my podcast? I break that down for you. Okay. And the best part, one of the best parts rather, about this program is that you can use it time and time again. So even if you decide to rebrand your podcast, which may happen, I've done it many times, you have that foundational tools and strategies concepts, and so forth to help you map that out. So visit tiamariejohnson.com/boutique and you can get access to this program for $37. I cannot begin to tell you the last time I offered something at that price range. So go ahead, take advantage of it, and create your podcast today. Beautiful. You gotta love the journey. It's just so full of surprises and wonder. It's truly, truly a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you never know what that next little twist or turn reveals for you.
Never know.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what were some of the things that you said, okay, I'm going to work with Tia? I know sometimes I tell people I saw someone with blue hair or purple hair and they cussed. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it really was. There is, I said it before, I feel like it was just like that divine timing. I can't tell you how I started following you on Instagram. I don't know. I even like once we connected for that series, I went back and I had been like following you for 2 years. I'm like, I don't know how I came across you in the first place. And then literally in this, I'm having this internal conversation with myself. I'm calling Hecate in. I want to be doing this. I want to get to know her better. And then bam, your like Instagram story or your Instagram thing comes along. Join me for this dark. I think I signed up immediately. Or maybe the next day. I think I saw your post, slept on it for a night, asked source, and was just like, bing, sign me up. I'm in. Like it wasn't even I didn't debate it. I didn't question it. I was in a lot of trust with spirit. Like, you've clearly put this right in front of me because Tia's the guide for me in this moment in time.
Love it. I love how you broke that down because it is an important decision to make. You're investing your time, your money, your trust. And I love how you said, I slept on it. And people need to know it's okay if you need a day, a week. Like I need to think about this. And I also love that you said, and I was following you for 2 years, because here's the thing. There are so many times where I've done that too. I followed someone for 2 years and then I took the one course, another course, and then I end up going more and more and more. And I want to emphasize on that because there's no pressure, like this is for, the people. I tell everyone often that I'm also the student, and I feel like we're always working together. And I also explain to people, if someone's pressuring you, and this has happened to me in the past where, people are just like, like, why, like, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? And it's not a, what is it in a sense of, well, why don't you just buy the course? Why? It's more like, so what was it? Like, it's something that, so it's more that for me, just being consistent and showing up. And that took a while for me to do that, because for so long it was, you got to be professional, you got to be this way, you got to use these colors. And the thing is, I don't like bright colors. Like, I don't mind certain bright colors, but when I really started to just begin on that, screw it, and the dark feminine came to me, Hecate and the Morgan came to me in a dream. And I just knew that this was the time to just really continue to put myself forward. So I love that you also had your process of, okay, yeah, I had that sign there. I slept on it. I was already following her. So I get, a bit about her, who she is. So now is the time. So just to have those several pieces of information there, I think is just so crucial, because sometimes people, they see certain things and they go, oh yeah, I'm going to go with that person, but they don't get to know the person, or they don't pay attention to certain signs that might say, maybe that person isn't for you. So I think that was a very great process that led you to the course.
Yeah. And in other cases, I might have like wanted to reach out and have a phone call and ask questions. And in this case, like your vibes, I knew, right? I already knew you were the one. And I also trusted Source enough that they just plopped you right in front of me in that moment, right? And so I think you want to be open to all the different information you're taking in. and then avoid when it's like a high pressure sales pitch. Not
Right.
avoid it, but really make sure you're sleeping on that and seeing if it's the right
Exactly.
thing, because your offering felt very authentic to me, and it felt very
Thank you.
organic
Thank
to
you.
me. It didn't feel like, how can I make some money from some people, and there are people that are out there, and that's all
Right.
their offerings are based on, right? What can I get from you? But this was very much of a, like, this is what I have to give, and I was there to receive, so
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And for those who don't know, the Dark Femme mentorship, that was very much so customized. I was making I call them fun sheets, but they were worksheets within like a few hours, and like the next day Kim was getting worksheets.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about from your perspective, the work? I was going to say coursework, but it wasn't really coursework. It was more of an interaction. What are your needs, your wants, and then we took it from there.
Yeah, it just really felt like this, like, embodiment invitation is almost like the way I could put it. It just really felt like you had a lot of information and knowledge that you shared. And then there was a lot of just back and forth, like, how does that land with you? How does that feel? What does this mean for you? And then there were all these pieces to sit with, like, we kind of met once a week. So then there was a lot to just sit with and kind of absorb and take in and learn. I have so many books. I feel like I have so many books that I got during that time on my bookshelf. Like, oh yeah, so there was just so many great, like, recommendations and information that you shared that were, that carry on beyond the time that we sat together. There was very much it also made me feel like, I'm laughing because we're talking about I'm wearing black, right? Like,
Yeah, me too.
there was this piece of, like, allowing yourself to express your inner self. Like, I can be my inner witch out in my outer world now, and not, I don't know that I was worried about being judged, but there is just a different comfortability with it. Like, yeah, I'm a witch, right? Like,
Yeah.
I am. Let's talk witchy things,
Right.
So there were, it was information and wisdom and embodiment, and just like practical, lots of practical things. Even, today I woke up and I was having a rough morning, and I could hear your voice. I went and took a shower. I needed to just rinse it off, wash it off,
Love
like, I had
that.
to wash off what I woke up with that wasn't serving me, so there was just a lots of little lifestyle bits. And I keep saying the word embodiment, but that's just what feels like is the perfect word to explain what working with you is. It feels very holistic and complete in that way. It's not just like, here's this information. It's like, this is how you take it in, and this is how you can experience it, and these are the practices you can do in your home to embody these things. And so it's like a whole suite of tools to keep with you afterwards.
Love that. Yeah. Embodiment. Whew, that is such a loaded term, because it requires a lot. It requires, just as the dark feminine, mentorship, that looking within. And I love having those conversations where I can make recommendations and make them practical. And a main reason why I do that is because I believe if we can work on the foundational, the practical things, then all the magic and everything else, it just works so much easier, better. It becomes second nature. And some of the things start to fizzle, fade away. Like as you were saying, okay, I'm a witch. Okay. And I get, for some people, they can't do that because it may be, a little bit dangerous for them, but at least to acknowledge that for yourself. Sometimes people don't like the term witch. So you can use enchantress, you can use sorceress, whatever the case may be. But as long as you're okay with that yourself, then eventually you'll find ways to be in environments where it's okay for other people too. So you won't have to think so much about, oh my gosh, should I take the cover off the book when I read this? How can I do this in public? Things
Right.
like that. So yeah, I think the practical approach is great because it's easy to digest. You can always reflect on it. And as you were saying, you can use it time and time again, months and months later. This is last year.
And you can feel safe,
Hmm.
like you can feel safe with these aspects of ourselves that, you know, in the burning times people lost their life for, right?
Right.
Not in those times. And that's kind of still in our DNA as well. And so
Yeah.
there's also that reclaiming of that, right? It feels really powerful to actually be like, heck yeah, I'm a witch.
Right. It's like, heck yeah.
Like,
You know, and
yeah.
you brought up a very excellent point about it, like just being in us for, generations that, epigenetics is just, we are carrying our ancestors' memories. Sometimes what we fear has nothing to do with us. It's memories from past lives and our ancestors and things like that. So the more we can connect with them, the more we can understand, oh, this is why exactly I don't want to say I'm a witch, not just because some people don't like the term, but because you have this feeling that someone's going to come and get you, but no one's coming, right? So that was an excellent point as well.
Yeah, like you can feel it, like it might happen in your throat, or you might
Right.
feel tension in your body, or like, it can show up in these ways, and you're just confused. But when you realize, like, oh, this is probably in my DNA, this is probably in my lineage, you're like, oh, okay, let me relax
Right.
in the here and now. I'm okay. I'm safe,
Right. I love that. You can trust more of yourself. You can open up to certain people around you and be discerning with that, because there are people who do want to get to know us. And, if we are holding all these things unknowingly, right? That's in our subconscious, unconscious, because of, again, previous generations, it makes it difficult to develop relationship with ourselves first and then relationship with other people. So to really embark on that journey is, I don't even know again how to put it in words. It's just triple fold helpful, just beyond belief,
Powerful.
beyond how
Yeah.
you can put it into words.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it can't be expressed.
Can't be expressed. Well, Kim, thank you. This has been so great. Is there any final words you want to tell the listeners? Any I don't know, work with Tia?
Yeah, I mean, work with Tia, yes, is one of the messages. It really, I going into work with Tia, I would have never expected where it led me on the other side, and so if you're drawn to Tia in any way, I recommend just saying yes to, whatever program she's got going on, because there's like an alchemical interaction that happens between you and whoever you're working with, that is that unknowable result that may come out of it. Like I would never have thought a year ago that I would be offering an ancestral energy healing series with
Wow.
Hecate. Like it was never in my radar. It was never work that I was drawn to or thinking that I was capable of, right? And it all happened because I connected with Tia, right? So, and
Ah,
you
thank
can pop
you.
onto my website, Reveal Your Inner Light. You can read more about that series and, participate in that if you want. But also, I wholeheartedly recommend working with Tia in any way. If you're drawn to her, say yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And do you have anything else coming up in your business you want to tell the people out there in the world?
Yeah, this, I'm launching this ancestral energy healing series. It's going to be a live program. And it will then be offered as a recorded series that you could do in your own self-paced, as a self-paced series. Because I don't know when this will air, so I won't give dates.
Okay.
But
They
you
can
can
visit
always,
you. Yeah.
yeah, you can just pop over to my website and read more about this series that came out of my work with Tia and see if it speaks to you. And really, that series is all about helping to release, I mentioned the numbers of ancestors that we have, and there are some of our ancestors that for many reasons might not have crossed over to the light. They might not
Mm,
have left the earth plane. And this series is helping those energies to cross back over, right? And so some of those energies can be stuck in our being, bringing up fears that we're not aware of, or phobias, or just, holding us back in some way. And also just the idea of being able to support any of our ancestors, like even it doesn't have to have a tangible benefit to ourselves, just the idea that we can support them in the here and now for whatever, tragedy might have befallen them in their life. That's what this offering is all about.
Man,
So it's
that
just really
is
for our love
heavy.
and
That is
gratitude.
powerful.
Yeah, it's the love and
That's
gratitude
great.
for our ancestors, because that's how we're here right now, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes. They done a lot for us to be here. And man, I can feel the power of that. It's just so impactful when you really think about that. Right. It's just, yeah, it's healing, it's in depth. That's amazing. That is truly, truly amazing. And thank you for sharing that.
No, you're so welcome. And I'm so grateful for you for, the part you've played in this being, birthed out of me.
Oh, thank you so, so much. Yes, this is what I love. I love helping. I'm here to help. And this warms my heart. I really truly love doing this. And helping people however I can is just something that I don't know. Again, it's one of those things that I can't put into words, and I don't get speechless often, but some things you can't put into words, So I just love that even after a year, even a year, going on a year later, there's still so much beautiful things happening, unraveling, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving. So thank you for saying yes and showing up and doing the work and communicating with me, because again, we work hand in hand together. So thank you for doing everything that you have done in the course.
Yeah, I'm deeply grateful to you, and I'm glad that we had this time to sit, and so I could reflect that back to you. I'm happy to share, how impactful it was for me to spend that time with you. It was very meaningful. It still is very meaningful in present time, right? Where there's no time and space, right?
Right. No time. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again for coming on, for talking about your experiences, and for sharing your business. Everyone go check out Kim. The link for her website is in the description for this episode. Thank you again. I'm sending everyone so many blessings, lots of love. I am rooting for you, and remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, Magical One. Visit my website at tiamariejohnson.com to subscribe to my newsletter and be the first to know about upcoming guests and exciting events. As always, I'm sending you lots of love and many blessings. I'm rooting for you, and remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time.